Hello again. Welcome to a new class, class number 1189. All right, we have 12 classes left, counting this one. When we finish this class, we'll have only 11 left. Although I'm thinking about adding two classes for free, 2 extra classes at the end, but I haven't decided. In any case, to find out, grammar. To find is encontrar. To find, hallar. To find, un hallazgo is a finding. Los hallazgos, the findings. All right. To find out, to find, but to find out se usa casi más que to find. To find out is enterarse o averiguar o saber. En el sentido que ayer supe que Juanita estaba enferma. Yesterday I found out that Juanita was sick. Yesterday I found out. No lo sabía, pero lo supe. I found out. To find out. Cuando la información viene a ti, con el sentido me enteré ayer de que Juanita estaba enferma. We say I learned. Aprendí. Sí, curiosamente. I learned. When the information comes to you, you're not looking for the information. No, you could say find out or learn. Now, when you go for the information, when you're trying to descubrir, is to find out. Ayer me enteré, o ayer supe que ya lo habían hecho. Yesterday I found out. To find out. Yesterday I found out. Find out. Every day I find out. Yesterday he finds out. I find out. You find out. Find out. Ahora, ¿cómo se dice estoy bien? I'm fine. Estoy fine. ¿Cómo se dice duda? Doubt. Bien, duda. Find out. Lo presento así para que sepas que la D de find es el amo y señor de la fonética aquí. Porque los españoles, solo cuando habláis inglés, estáis visualizando las palabras y diciendo las palabras de forma un poco separadas. Find out. Y al final decís find out. Y la D no suena. Find out. Que no significa. It doesn't mean anything. Find out. Que mande la D. Find out. Find Dinamarca. Find out. Find out. So what did you find out? ¿Qué averiguaste? ¿Qué supiste? ¿Qué has sabido? ¿Qué has sabido? What did you find out? Did you find out anything? No, nothing. I didn't find out anything. I found out. So to find out. Okay, me. Back to me. All right. My life. The other day I was talking about my life in Tulsa, Oklahoma. La América Profunda. Middle America. I was a good student. Not an excellent student. Not brilliant, but I was a good student. I was a good student. I was never a good student in the first year of a new school. For example, when my family moved from Houston to Tulsa, I was 9. And I started in 3rd grade. I didn't have any problem there. But later, when I finished 6th grade and finished primary education and passed to secondary, what at that time we called junior high school. So 7th grade was more difficult. Well, difficult, no, but I was not a very good student because it was a different moment in the school development, and I had to learn the new rules and things. And so it was different. But after that, no. Starting 8th grade, 9th grade, no problem. And then I went to high school, el último ciclo de secundaria. And again, that first year was not the best in the world, but the years 11 and 12, the last 2 years, which here in Spain is el bachillerato, no problem. But I spent most of my time with sports. In the summertime, golf. Well, summertime. In the summertime, in the fall, in the spring, but especially in the summertime because I didn't have school. The only thing I did in the summer was play golf, play music in the band, in the group. I was a member of the Sonics and the Auroras. Those groups, first was the Sónico, los Sónicos. The Sonics y luego las Auroras, or los Auroras, the Auroras. All right. We're a good band, yeah. So I was playing in that, and also I was working. I was working first in 2 supermarkets as a sacker and as a stalker. First as a sacker. You see, in the supermarkets, at that time, this is 1969, most of the shoppers were women, housewives. And of course, they had the shopping basket, the shopping cart, and they put items, from the shelves, estanterías from the shelves, into the basket. And then they went to the checkout counter, to the checkout line. El checkout was where you pay, the checkout line. And in the checkout line, there were 3 employees. An unloader, the cashier, and the sacker. The unloader was a person. This is interesting because the housewife arrived at the checkout counter, or the checkout line, and there was a boy, 16 years old usually, and he took the items out, not the housewife. He took and placed them on the conveyor belt. Cinta transportadora, the conveyor belt. But you see, he took them out in a special way. The soft items separate from the cold items and separate from the heavy items, etc. So it's a rational way for the sacker at the other end, to place them into sacks. No digo bag. Bag is bolsa de plástico. Sack es esto que ves en las películas americanas que los llevan así, porque no tienen asas. That's a sack, a paper sack. And at that time, we only used sacks. So I was a sacker first. Okay. And then the cashier, the items, we didn't have barcodes at that time. Código barras, we didn't have barcodes. And then it came to me, and I placed them in the sacks. If it was only one sack, then I carried it with the housewife to her car. And she opened the door for the back seat, and I placed the sack on the floor of the back seat, behind the driver or behind the passenger, on the floor of the back seat, because it's protected there. All right. And normally she gave me a tip, a nickel or a dime. A nickel or a dime. Nickel is a moneda de 5 centavos. Antiguamente se hacía de níquel, por eso se llama nickel, todavía hoy. Nickel, and a dime, escrito dime. Dime is a small 10 cent piece. And then went back. Now, if there were 2 sacks, normally I could carry 2 sacks to the car. But if there were more than 2, I had a dolly. Dolly is muñequita, doll is muñeca, pero dolly, además de muñequita, or Dolly Parton, the singer, a dolly is una carretilla. It says, all right. And so I put them on a dolly and took them out with the housewife out to the car. And sometimes she opened the trunk, in maletero, the trunk, and I put them in the trunk if there were a lot. If it was a big, big purchase and things. Then I worked as an unloader, unloading the items. Los helados, this. You need to be careful because the soft items, patatas fritas de bolsa, you put them at the top. The bread is at the top. The eggs are at the top, not at the bottom, because it can crush them. And then in the second supermarket, I worked as a stalker. Stalker is reponedor de las estanterías, which is I made more money. Instead of $1.60, $1.60, I made $1.75. Wow, a lot of money. And I was a stalker. So I needed to go back into the warehouse, almacén, donde solo personal de la tienda. We go back there and bring in and stock the shelves. And I remember once, I've told this story before. This is not the first time. I was stocking, and I was near the meat section, sección de carnes, de vacuno. O sea, and I remember, normally in the United States, the meat is already prepared. Already prepared. You don't talk to the butcher. You know, como en las antiguamente, where the butcher cuts it for you. No. It's already packaged. And you simply buy the meat, put it into a basket, and continue. However, there was a bell, and the butcher would come out. If you wanted to speak specifically to the butcher, carnicero, there was a bell. And one man rang the bell, and the butcher came out. May I help you? He said, yes, I would like that big piece. I would like to buy that. Because there was a big piece, sin preparar. He said, can I buy that piece? The butcher said, well, yes, por peso. Could you bring it out, please? And so he went back and got this big piece of meat and brought it out. This. Wow. And the man said, can I cut it myself? Can I prepare it myself? And the butcher said, it's a bit dangerous. You know, be careful. You know, no, you can't. See, but he insisted, and finally the butcher said, okay, here's the knife. You can cut the meat, but be very careful. And the man began to cut the meat perfectly. And the butcher was surprised. Well, and he said, and he asked, are you a butcher? Or have you worked as a butcher? And the man said, no, I'm a surgeon. Soy cirujano. I'm a surgeon. And I overheard that conversation. To overhear is oír sin querer. O sea, te llega. I overheard that conversation. I thought it was interesting. So he simply wanted to cut it because he was an expert surgeon. All right. Working. So that's what I was doing when I was a teenager. I was working in 2 grocery stores, supermarkets. En Estados Unidos se suele decir más grocery store, que es una antigua palabra, como un colmado o algo, un ultramarino. These are old words, but supermarket is perfectly correct. Supermarket, and easy for you to remember and to say. But usually people will say grocery store. I need to buy some groceries. Necesito comprar algunos groceries, o sea, algunos productos del supermercado. We call them groceries. To go grocery shopping. My mother always said, I need to go grocery shopping. Shopping, tengo que ir de compras para cosas de la cocina. I need to go grocery shopping. My mother always did what she called the big shopping on Tuesday. The big shopping, which means she bought a lot. I mean, there were 4 people in the family, my father, my mother, my sister, and me. And until my sister left for the University of Oklahoma in 1966, September 1966, my sister never lived at home again. She was 17 when she left home. Yes, my sister was born in October 1948. So in September 1966, she was 17. She turned 18 1 month later in October. So she was 17 when she left home for good, para siempre. Yeah. My sister got married when she was 20. Her husband was 21. That was typical in the States. She was crazy about Mark. Estaba loco por Mark. And Mark was crazy about her because my sister was a very, very attractive girl. She was very attractive. For me, no, because she's my sister. but she was very attractive. And they got married very young. too young probably. They got a divorce about 15 years later. Yeah. But in any case, so when my sister left home in September 1966, I was 14. I was 14, going on 15. And that's when everything changed. Everything changed because I made my own dinner. From that point on, desde un punto en adelante, I cooked my own dinner. And usually I cooked a steak every night, a T-bone, hueso en té, se dice, every night. So every night for dinner I had a steak. Yeah. For lunch, at school, or near the school, in our cars, etc. It was an interesting period of my life, and I was busy with music as well. But in the summertime, golf, every day. And then music in the afternoon, or my job, my work, in the pizzeria. When I started in the pizzeria, I found a job. I was tired of working in the supermarket, so I decided to look for a job. So in the local newspaper, I went to what we call the want ads. That means the classified section, anuncios por palabras. And I saw Ken's Pizza Parlor, Ken's Pizzeria. And so I called and made an appointment. And I went. And I met the owner. The owner interviewed me. I was 17 years old, maybe 16. And I was probably 17 years old. And Ken, como Barbie Ken interviewed me. And he was the owner because it was Ken's Pizza Parlor. And he had about 25. I mean, this man was rich. But he interviewed me. And he said, how much did you make? How much were you making or did you make in the supermarket? $1.75. $1.75. I said, I can't pay you $1.75. I can only pay you $1. And I said, okay, no problem. Why? Because I wasn't working necessarily for money. Of course, I wanted the money because I was paying for part of the car. My father paid 50% of the car, my car, and I paid the other half. My father made an agreement. I said, if you pay half the price of the car, I'll pay the other half of your car. So when I was 17, I bought a car with the money from the supermarkets and from the paper boy when I was 15, working as a newspaper boy. And so I had enough money, finally, $2,000. Because I think the car was about $4,000 or $3,500. I can't remember. This is 1968. So I took the job in the pizzeria. And the first job I had was the dishwasher, washing dishes, washing all the bandejas de pizza, washing these things and the glasses and things. It's very, very careful. The legislation is very strict about washing. The health department. And then I worked cooking pizzas, preparing the pizzas, putting in the oven, taking them out, you see, and then waiting the tables because it was no era autoservicio. I mean, había camareros. I became a waiter. And as a waiter, I made good money because of the tips. So my salary was $1 an hour, but as a waiter, I was probably earning $2.50 or $3 an hour. So it was very good. Why? Because I was a good waiter. Yeah, I was in charge of maybe 10 tables, and Hawkeye, ojo de halcón, to make sure everybody was happy and things. And so that was, and then later I found another job in a warehouse, packaging radiators, but that's a different story for another day. Okay, expressions. How much time do we have left, Marta? We have enough time to do a few expressions. Page. What page? Page 195. Okay, at the top. To pull a fast one on someone. Has tirado un rápido sobre mí. You pulled a fast one on me. Me has jugado una mala pasada. You pulled a fast one. You pulled a fast one on me. Yeah. El fontanero les jugó una mala pasada y nunca instaló la pieza que habían pagado. The plumber pulled a fast one on them and never installed the part they had paid for. To pull a fast one on me means me han engañado. O sea, y no me enteró. They pulled a fast one on me. They pulled a fast one on me. They pulled a fast one on you, eh? Yes. They pulled a fast one on you. Yes. Se usa mucho, eh? To pull the fast one on. To pull out all the stops. To pull out sería sacar tirando. To pull out all the stops, todas las paradas. To pull out all the stops is poner toda la carne en el asador. Forzar la máquina y darlo todo. To pull out all the stops. To learn English, you need to pull out all the stops. To pull out all the stops. All right. Yes, to pull, okay. To pull, you know this one, to pull someone's leg. Me estás tirando la pata de la pierna. Me estás tomando el pelo. You're pulling my leg. Come on, yeah? You're pulling my leg. Come on, I don't believe you. You're pulling my leg. Se usa mucho to pull someone's leg. Yeah. To pull his leg. How much time do we have? We still have time? Oh, yeah. You're pulling my leg. This is very important. But the most important is the last one at the bottom of page 195. To pull strings. A string es una cuerda, pero cuerda fina, como las gatitas, los gatitos. Shh. That's a string. All right. String. Un ovillo de cuerda is a ball of string. All right. String. Tirar de cuerdas, cuerditas, to pull strings. We use it all the time. That means recurrir a enchufes para conseguir cosas. Personas, yo conozco a alguien en la administración que puede acelerar los trámites. Let me pull some strings. I can help you. I can pull some strings. Puedo tirar unas cuerditas. Como una marioneta, you know? You pull the strings. You know, you control. And that's to pull strings. And so we use it a lot. We say, I have connections. Tengo conexiones. Decimos, aquí se dice tengo enchufes. O un enchufe dentro. O se decían. Se dice menos hoy en día. Yes. I can pull some strings for you. Okay, I can pull some strings. Aquí dice, mover los hilos, usar influencias. Los contactos de alguien. No puedes hacer que Lisa mueva hilos para ti. Lisa, como la Mona Lisa. Can't you get Lisa to pull some strings for you? No creo que sea correcto que ella haya conseguido el puesto usando sus influencias. I don't think it's right that she got the job by pulling strings. To pull strings, all right. Very common, eh? I can pull some strings for you. If you want to learn English, I can pull some strings for you. But you have to buy the books. Okay. All right. We'll come back to our famous expressions another day. But for now, I want to come back to gain fluency. Because I want to finish this book. I mean, this is page 103, paragraph 953. Which means I still have 48 paragraphs. I'm not sure if I can finish this book, but I'm going to finish. Come hell or high water, pase lo que pase. Venga el infierno o aguas altas. Come here, hell or high water, I'm going to finish. All right, page 103, the third paragraph. Whenever Charles Callahan came to town, escucha esto. Whenever Charles Callahan came to town, we were all impressed. He was so polite, so elegant, so refined, and so rich. One summer night, however, he went home and shot himself. Huh? Yeah. Whenever Charles Callahan lived outside the city, or the town. He lived in a country house, a manor house, a country house. But he came into the town, and he was very well dressed, very polite, very refined, y era rico, más rico que nadie. Imperialmente esbelto. It was just really imperially slim. Whenever Charles Callahan, siempre que vino, but one summer night, however, he went home and shot himself.